Hi Year 3, it's Miss Smith here with your instalment of You Ain't Seen Nothing Yeti. Now, Miss Coatman read a few chapters to you last week, and so it's my turn to read to you this week. So we're on chapter 20, Whispering Walls. As quietly as we could, Zingri and I climbed out of the bed and tiptoed towards the voice. It seemed to be coming from the far corner, behind a stack of great-great-granddad Abram's books. Don't make a sound, I mouthed to Zingrid when we reached the corner and glanced at each other with wide eyes. The muttering was barely louder than a sigh. We both silently removed the pile of books one by one to see what was behind it. There, wriggling across the enchanted wallpaper, was one of the jag-toothed fairy traps that had appeared on the print vine pattern earlier in the day. It twitched its ugly leaves and squirmed its tendrils in such a snake-like way it made my skin prickle with goosebumps, despite being just a drawing. It's wandering in the hotel, the ghastly vine whispered. Sneakish and angry and plotting it is. I looked up at Zingri. Maloney's broken loose, I hissed. Stop the blighter, the vine mumbled again. Stop the blighter in the blizzard, the sneakling in the snow, the stranger in the storm, or the end of this hotel is. I held my breath, not daring to make even the tiniest of sounds. The end of the hotel is here. Tonight. Destroy is all magic, its plots, and will destroy. Zingri stared at me, shocked and open mouths. It will destroy all magics. All magicals. All of them. Chapter 21. Secrets and Strangers. I clicked the dial on the arm of the chair and it started to slowly judder through the floor of my bedroom. The quiet whirring as it travelled down the track of the library wall suddenly seemed louder than gunshots, and I winced at Zingri, and the chair reached the ground with a bump. Look, I whispered, pointing to the library doors. They were closed now, and the glass in them was frosted like ice, but it was easy to make out the orange glow of a lantern and the shape of a squat person crossing reception on the other side. Be careful, said Zingri quietly, as we clambered off the chair and tiptoed across the floor. We reached the library doors, and I twisted the frozen handle as slowly as I could, opening one side of them just a crack. Then I placed my eye to the tiny gap and scanned the reception hall. Being a human kid with a troll blood in my veins meant I can usually see just as well in the dark as I can during the day, but the darkness was thicker than normal, like the kind of Granny regurgitated likes in fill her bedroom with. There was strange magic filling the shadows tonight, and it sent a shiver up my spine. What can you see? Zingri whispered in my ear. Everything beneath the great staircase was dark except for a few slices of moonlight that glinted in from the windows of the upper landing. I looked about, searching for gloom with my troll vision, but spotting nothing. Maloney's leopard caravan was still wrapped tightly in the ball of Nancy's unbreakable thread, with the chickens peacefully snoozing on top of it. I could see the faint glow of candles coming in from the web-covered caravan windows, and the sound of Maldred muttering to herself. She was still in there. She hasn't escaped, I mouthed to Zingri. Maloney's still trapped inside her home. Then who did we just see? She asked. She leaned in above me and pressed her eye to the gap as well. I'm not sure, I whispered, staring deeper into the darkness between the snowdrifts and snake barriers. Maybe the wallpaper got it wrong. Suddenly something fast and black sped silently through the air, glinting across the shafts of moonlight and landing on the stone counter with a low squawk and scattering a snow from its wings. It was the Nomad magpie. For a second, my thoughts was to call out, asking if it had seen anything suspicious, until it turned its head to the thickest of shadows and croaked, It's safe. There's no one here. Instantly, the small lantern I spotted through the frosted glass glinted into life again, and the Nomad stepped out from its hiding place beneath the stairs. Let's get this over with, the magpie grumbled, clacking its talons against the hard and frosty surface of the reception counter. My heart started racing as fast as I thought it was about to play a tune inside my ribs. What was going on? Patience, Jimabad, said a voice I'd never heard before. It was coming from under the Nomad's clay mask. This needs to be done properly. I felt Zingri grip my shoulder with surprise. Nomads can't talk. Everyone knows that. That's why their strange little creatures always keep an animal familiar to speak for them. This wasn't a nomad at all. Let's teach 'em all a lesson, the magpie rasped. Not long now, Jin. The not a nomad chuckled. It lifted the lantern and I caught a glint of green from the single eye hole of the mask. Revenge is close. With that, it reached up and pulled the clay thing from its head. I can't wait to see them squirm, the magpie crackled. For a moment, the small figure under the mask was obscured by the impenetrable shadows, but then it stepped into the moonlight, and I found myself staring at a small, pale-faced figure with jet-black hair and a patch over its right eye. He lifted his head and grinned at the bird. It was a boy, a human boy. I gasped a lungful of freezing winter air and had to clap my arm around my mouth and nose to stop myself from coughing and giving away our hiding place. He's human, I hissed at Zingri. What does it mean about revenge? She said, looking as confused as I felt. And what's going on, Frankie? I opened the door a tiny bit more and stared with wide eyes and the sound of my heart beating thundering in my ears. The pale-faced boy glanced up at the portrait hanging above the counter and laughed wickedly. There you are, you dim-witted old fool, he jeered. That's a picture of him. He jeered at Abram's painted face. I bet you think you'd see me again. It's a pity he popped his clockers, Jim Blam said with a sickening croak. I'd peck out his eyes if he was still humpling around this place. The boy snickered at the magpie's comment. How did they know great-great-granddad Abram? It's time, Jin, the boy said. Get the goblin. It was all happening so fast for me to take it in. Goblin? What goblin? I watched as the magpie took off again in a flurry of feathers and swooped up past the spiral staircase. If I remember correctly, Mum had booked the Nomad into one of the small rooms on the second floor. What? It croaked as it vanished over the lip of the landing and flagged out of sight down the second floor corridor. I waited, trying to slow down my thoughts as the mysterious boy scuffled about in the snow. The bird has gone for just a moment before reappearing, carrying the birdcage-shaped piece of luggage it had told Dad not off for touching. Got it, Jin crackled as it came to land, lowering the strange luggage gently into the stone counter. Got the goblin. Exactly. Excellent, even, said the boy. He reached up and untied the cloth that was tightly wrapped around the object, dropping it in the snow ground. Let's see how our little friend is doing. Oh, exciting stuff that is going on in our hotel. Come back tomorrow for the next chapter.